Take two. I filmed the whole intro without pressing record. That's me. We are monsters. We give and we take. Hey Bookish Babes, welcome to my book nook. If you're new around here, the name's Rainy. I read mainly fantasy romance as of right now. I can't believe I'm saying that because I started off with thriller and horror, but we have gone to a new era and I am very much about it. So if you're interested in that, like and subscribe to my channel down below. It really helps my channel grow. In today's video, we are doing my March wrap-up / tier ranking the books that I read. And I had the best reading month that I've ever had. And you will find out why in just a second. There was a reason for it, but I'm very excited to share with you my stats and data about how my reading month went. And then we're going to go right into the tier ranking system where I rank books by this Friends quotes because I'm obviously obsessed with the show Friends, hence my TBR game and all of that. And I think it's a little bit more fun than just doing a traditional wrap-up. But as always, I will timestamp everything down below in case you want to skip the stats, you want to get to the tier ranking, all of that fun stuff. But we are going to get down and dirty with some reading stats. So, as far as stats go, they're all on my phone. I read 24 books, which is my highest reading month yet. In May of last year, I read 22, so this time of year is where I read a lot of books. For a total of 5,614 pages. Now, if you're like, Rainy, that doesn't seem like a lot of pages, just hold your horses. Then that was a total of 54.94 hours listened, and my average rating was a 4.0. Not too shabby. As far as books acquired, we're not going to talk about this. We're not going to talk about the fact that I got more books than there are days in the month. We're not going to talk about that. Okay, moving on. Library books, I acquired 5. Rereads, I did 1, which is big for me because I don't really reread books. I DNF'd 0 books. I started 7 series, and I had 15 diverse reads. So, moving up in the world. I also wanted to read 15 books and read 24, so I surpassed my goal. Now let's dive into the ratings, and as far as my ratings go, I had 1 1-star, 4 3 stars, 2 3.5 stars, 8 4 stars, 2 4.5 stars, and 7 5 stars. So 4 to 5 stars was reigning on top for this month. I had a fabulous reading month. It was just fabulous. And some fun facts for you. The shortest book I read was Juice Like Wounds, which is a short story in the Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire. It was 32 pages. The shortest book I read was Down Among the Sticks and Bones. It took me 1.32 hours to read it on audio. The longest book I read was Spark of the Everflame, 422 pages, and the longest book I listened to was One Dark Window for a total of 7 hours. As far as genres go, I read 1 mystery, 3 romance, 3 romantasy, and 17 fantasy. Yes, you heard it. I'm in my fantasy and romance era. It's an era, friends. It's an era. For diversity, I had 15 diverse reads. Now, as for diversity, I'm talking about as far as the authors go, right? So I had 15 that were LGBTQ plus rep, 15 that were own voice, and percent diverse was 63%. That's fabulous. I would love all of my months to be like that. I really would. As far as the format goes, I had 1 graphic novel, 10 novels, and 13 novellas. Yes, I read a lot of novellas, and you're going to find out why in just a sec. Or I might as well say it now. There was Peace Talks Weekend, which is held by Covers with Cassidy. I just realized I never looked to see who won Realmathon, and my team got last place, so it was not us. But they had a Peace Talks Weekend where basically every book that you read, you got 10 points extra submitted for your team. And so I read the entire Wayward Children series, which is like 10 books and 3 little mini stories. So that's why there were so many novellas. As for the source, I read 4 ebooks, 3 physically, and 17 mixed media, meaning I immersion read it because that is how I like to read books. As far as the audience, I read 21 adults, 1 for new adults, and 2 YA books. Where I acquired them from was 4 were from Amazon, 1 was from a book box, 3 were from the bookstore, 1 was gifted to me, 2 were from Kindle Unlimited, 12 was from the library, all the Wayward books, and 1 was other, and I don't know what other means. I think I mean like Pango or something. Not really sure there. I read 3 debut authors. Rachel Gellick for One Dark Window, Annalisa Brana for Lore of the Wilds, and Pen Cole for Spark of the Everflame. I read 4 new to me authors. Dayam Yunus for The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich, Lynn Painter for The Do-Over, Julie Soto for Forget Me Not, and Danielle L. Jensen for A Fadington Blood. And then I read 6 that I've read from before. Anna Huang for King of Greed, A Bree for The Sword, Shauna McGuire for All the Wayward Children series, V.E. Schwab for A Darker Shade of Magic, Jessa Hastings for Never, and Alex Michaelides for The Fury. And then for the series, 20 were part of a series. The Shepherd King, which is One Dark Window, Lore of the Wilds, The King of Sin series by Anna Huang, Shades of Magic by V.E. Schwab, Never by Jessa Hastings, Immortal Fates by J. Bree, Saga of the Unfaded by Danielle L. Jensen, The Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire, and Kindred's Curse by Pen Cole. And then 4 were standalone books, The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich, The Do-Over, Forget Me Not, and The Fury. And now we're going to get to the good part where I show you all the books I read in, not in order, but in order of rating, but not necessarily in order of rating. Like, I'm not going to show you my 4 stars from least favorite 4 star to best favorite, most favorite. I'm not going to do it that way. I'm just going to show you like my 1 stars, my 3 stars, and go on from there. Never, 1 star. The Do-Over, 3 stars. Beneath the Sugar Sky, 3 stars. Across the Green Grass Fields, 3 stars. Skeleton Song, 3 stars. Lore of the Wilds, 3.5 stars. Mislaid in Parts Half Known, 3.5 stars. King of Greed, 4 stars. The Sword, 4 stars. Every Heart a Doorway, 4 stars. Juice Like Wounds, 4 stars. Come Tumbling Down, 4 stars. Where the Drowned Girls Go, 4 stars. In Mercy Reign, 4 stars. The Fury, 4 stars. Lost in the Moment and Found, 4.5 stars. Spark of the Everflame, 4.5 stars. In an Absent Dream, 5 stars. Down Among the Sticks and Bones, 5 stars. The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich, 5 stars. Forget Me Not, 5 stars. One Dark Window, 5 stars. A Darker Shade of Magic, 5 stars. And A Fade Inked in Blood, 5 stars. Alright, so now we've gone through all the stats and whatnot. Let's get to the tier ranking. Let's speed through this tier ranking system by now because it's the same every month. So I'm just going to go through it super duper fast. He's Her Lobster is like cream of the crop because lobsters, you know, pinch claws and they go together everywhere. It's just like they're meant to be. It's written in the stars. Those are God tier books. Then we have What's Not to Like? Custard, good. Jam, good. Meat, good. It's like, what's not to like? These are like my 4.5 star books. It's like, I don't really have a problem with them. They just didn't have that 5-star feeling. Then we have Smelly Cat, what are they feeding you? It's like, you want to love it, and you do, but like, there's something wrong with it, and sometimes you know what's wrong with it, sometimes you don't really know. They're just like, in the middle, they're kind of like, it was a book, and I read it vibes. And then we have I Wish I Could, but I don't want to. I wish I could like these books, but honestly, I don't really want to, and I'm probably not going to recommend them if they're in that rank. And then, oh my god, these are awful. These are hot garbage. These are terrible. And I don't often have a lot of books in there. But you know, that's the way the cookie might crumble this time. Okay, so let's get started with books. And we're going to start with A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, which I actually read this book with Danny and Katie for a buddy read-along, and we had a fabulous time with this, and I think I'm going to put it in What's Not to Like, because even though it is a fabulous book and I gave it 5 stars, it's not like the best book of all time. However, I really, really enjoyed it, and I wasn't really sure if I would or not because I tried to start Vicious by V.E. Schwab and I soft DNF'd it. I DNF'd for good, Addie LaRue, after the 3rd time trying it. I gave it 3 stars to Gallant, so like, we didn't really have like a good rapport. But after this, we all went out and bought their whole rest of the series, and we're going to be buddy reading them starting in May again. So like, this was a fabulous time. So very glad that I like hopped onto their buddy read, and we loved it so much. We have Every Heart a Doorway, and I reread this book. This was the only book that I had read for Peace Talks already, that I had read 2 years ago for Wayward Children, and so I figured I needed to reread it, so I didn't just start on book 2 after it's been 2 years. And I gave it a 5 star the first time, but I think I was also just kind of afraid to give it less than that because like I was scared of ranking a book that everyone loves so much and being like, oh, am I the problem? However, I still gave it a 4 star this round. Like, I did enjoy it. But yeah, I had a much better time with this than I did the first time, actually, surprisingly. But I'm going to put this in What's Not to Like because it was a great beginning to this whole children's series. Then we have Beneath the Sugar Sky, and honestly, I'm just going to put this in I Wish I Could, but I don't want to, because it was a journey, it was a quest. I'm not a quest girly. I didn't care for the story. I didn't care for anything that was going on in this book. Like, I don't want to say, like, I know exactly what's wrong with it, so it could go in Smelly Cat, but I didn't really like it. It didn't really add to the series, if we're being honest. And we have Down Among the Sticks and Bones, and I have to put that in He's Her Lobster because I loved this book. Jack and Jill have my heart in this entire series. This was my favorite book. I just loved it. I loved getting the background on them. I loved getting to know them. It was an experience. I was here for the ride. It was beautiful and magical. And I really had a good time with book number 2. We have In an Absent Dream. And I also gave this a 5 star. However, I'm going to put it in What's Not to Like because Down Among the Sticks and Bones was just so very special to me. And this one was also good. But it's not on the same level. Like, I loved Lundy's story. And I know that if you haven't read the series, you're probably like, what is the series even about? So I'll give you a quick little synopsis since there's so many on them. Basically, there is Eleanor Holmes. Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, which basically all the children, there are different portals, different magical worlds of like all different types, and it's pertaining to whatever that child needs. And when that child finds a portal, they fall through into that world. They could be there for years, months, it doesn't matter. But eventually, once they find their way out and they go back home, it's really hard to find their portal again. And sometimes they will, but most often they won't. And so if they are not able to go back to their everyday life and just get used to the fact that they're never going to see their portal again and they become obsessed, they get sent to Eleanor West's Wayward Home, like Home for Wayward Children, where it's basically where all the misfits go who want to find their portal doors but can't really assemble back into reality in the real world. And it is a fabulous series. So some of the books follow the kids at the school. Some of them follow the kids in their portal worlds, explaining what happened before or if they went back to their world. And it's a magical time, honestly. It's a magical time. We have Come Tumbling Down, and I'm going to put this one in What's Not to Like because this was another one that had to focus on Jack and Jill. So, of course, it was a favorite. It was fabulous. And then we have Across the Green Grass Fields. And I'm going to put that one in Smelly Cat because it had a good premise. Like, it had unicorns and centaurs and all this stuff, and it just fell flat. I don't even really know what it was about it that I didn't like, but I didn't like it. It just screamed horse girl, and I don't know if I am a horse girl or have the desire to want to be one. Then we have Juice Like Wounds, which is a story that explains a lot more about the characters. I can't even remember which of the characters. I think, about Lundy from In an Absent Dream. And honestly, I really loved the story. It was very sad though, so I will also put it in What's Not to Like. But I feel like it was a beautiful story to help bridge the gap of like information that you didn't know about in An Absent Dream. And it explained it for you there. Then we have Where the Drowned Girls Go, which is Cora's book. And it was alright. Like, I think I gave it a 4. But I'm going to put it in Smelly Cat just because, like, it's not on the same level as those other ones. Like, it was good, but I can't stand Cora because all she does is body shame herself. And, like, it's just, I really don't like that. I just, I get it. I get people do that, but it was really taking me out of the story, if we're being honest. It was taking me out of the story, which I did not enjoy. Then we have One Dark Window, and that is for sure going in He's Her Lobster. I loved this book. I'm obsessed with this book. I have book number 2 coming to me in Fairy Loot Special Editions, but I don't have book number 1 because I wasn't a member of Fairy Loot at the time, and everyone is selling their book for $1 million. If you happen to have One Dark Window in Fairy Loot and you don't want it and you want to trade with me or just give it to me because you love me out of the kindness of your heart, please feel free to message me, and I will give you my address. But anyway, I loved this one. It was a unique fan row that I hadn't really seen anything before that had to do with, like, tarot cards, and I don't have words. It was a beautiful, wonderful time, and I need to read book number 2. I don't know why I haven't immediately jumped on it, because I feel like I'm going to forget. I already kind of forget what happened. I feel like I need to, like, fix that pretty quickly. Then we have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, which I read for the battle of the booktuber between Nell and Katie. They both recommended me romance. Unfortunately, Nell fell flat by giving me YA, and I've learned that I don't care for YA romance because I feel like they do really stupid things, but that's because they're teenagers. And so this one is going to go in I wish I could, but I don't want to. Actually, no, it's not going to, because it's going to go into Smelly Cat. Hear me out, because I can recognize that it was a very well-crafted YA book. Like, it is perfect for the people of the age of YA. It's just not a book for me. But it was still a very good book. Hence why it's going to go above Beneath the Sugar Sky, because I didn't like that book. We have The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich, and I'm going to put this in What's Not to Like. This was such a cute little graphic novel. It was a sapphic graphic novel about this princess that falls in love with this other princess, even though she doesn't know that she's a princess, because the princess is dressed up pretending to be a prince for, I think, for financial reasons. I can't remember exactly why. There's a reason they have to dress up as a prince, and it's their love story, and it's the cutest thing ever. And yes, it has to do with grilled cheese sandwiches. Like, there's a reason for that, but I'm not going to tell you. But if you haven't read this, you should, because it was super duper cute. Then we have Lost in the Moment and Found, and I'm also going to put that in, What's Not to Like. This got a 4.5 stars for me. I really, really enjoyed this one. Antoinette is a very interesting character, and this world was very interesting, and it sets up the next book so very well. There was just some stuff about it that it didn't give me the 5-star feeling, like, like when you know, you know. And it was also very sad. It touched on a bunch of, like, really hard topics, but honestly, a lot of them do. Like, this series is deep, y'all. This series is deep. Then we have Forget Me Not by Julie Soto, and that's going to go in He's Her Lobster. I loved this book. I really did. I am not reading a lot of romance as of late, but this romance was fabulous. Katie picked really well for me. It's by Julie Soto. I know she writes, I think, Hermione fan fiction, and so I definitely need to read that from her. But this was just a cute little wedding planner and florist love story. And I will say, if you don't like wedding books and you don't want to hear about weddings, this is not the book for you because it focuses a lot on the wedding planning part of it, okay? It does. But it didn't bother me. I was just here for it. It was just so cute and magical, and I can't wait for her new book to come out very soon so that I can obsess over it. Then we have In Mercy Reign, which was another short story in the Wayward Children series. And I'm going to put it, I did give it a 4, but honestly, I don't even really remember what happened in it right now. And so I'm going to put it in Smelly Cat because, like, it wasn't honestly that memorable, but it was fine. I mean, I only gave, the worst rating I gave to a Wayward Children's book was a 3. So, like, it's still pretty good, but I don't really remember it, if we're being honest. And then we have Skeleton Song, which was another short story in the Wayward Children series. And I'm going to put this in. I wish I could, but I don't want to because I'm really frustrated with this. I wanted a whole book for these characters, for Christopher. If you know Christopher, you know. I wanted a whole book for him. And maybe he's getting a book later on, but like this was just too little. It was like 32 pages or 26 pages or something. And it didn't give me enough of what I wanted. And so I'm just kind of mad because I'm like, you should have made this a book. You should have made it a whole long book. I hope that he gets more of a book because I'm very intrigued in the Skeleton Princess. Then we have The Sword by J. Bree. And I'm going to put this in What's Not to Like because I think this also sets up really well for the main book, A Crown of Oaths and Curses. You need to read The Scepter and The Sword before because The Scepter, it gives Rook's backstory and The Sword gives, I can't remember his name right now, the main dude character's backstory. And so you need both of them. I do say that you need both these novellas in order to go into A Crown of Oaths and Curses as well. Now, have I read A Crown of Oaths and Curses yet? No. But I really did enjoy this one. I just liked The Scepter more. I was more interested in Rook's, like, witch backstory than his fae backstory. But it was still really good. And I can't wait to hopefully get to this month the actual book that I read the novellas for. Then we get to Never by Jessa Hastings, and it must go. And oh my god. Because, oh my gosh, that was a journey to finish. That was a terrible book. If you want to see a video where I just ranted and railed on this book, like, in its entirety, go check out one of my latest vlogs. It'll be linked underneath this video because it is just so bad. It is so bad. And I still can't put in my mind that Jessa Hastings wrote Magnolia Parks, which is like the cream of the crop, and Never, which should be buried under the earth for no one to ever read ever. Then we have The Fury by Alex Michaelides, and I'm going to put this in What's Not to Like. And I was a little worried about this one because I thought it was going to be bad because everyone and their mother was saying that it's not that good of a book and that the way that it's written is annoying. However, the theater girly in me was here for it. It is for those theater-loving queens, okay? It is. And kings. Theater-loving queens and kings. And it was just so good. I had a fabulous time with it. The writing style did not bother me at all. I thought the audiobook was fantastic and the narrator I absolutely loved. I was just living for it. Was it ridiculous? Yes. Was it realistic? No. Did I love it? Yes. Alex Michaelides just writes really good books. I mean, I even remember The Maidens being really well written. He just ruined it with the ending. But this one, I enjoyed. I did enjoy this one. But don't read this if you haven't read his other 2 books, The Silent Patient and The Maidens, because it will get ruined for you in the epilogue, which honestly really bothers me and almost made me knock off half a star, but, you know, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Then we have Spark of the Everflame, and I'm going to put this in He's Her Lobster, even though I gave it a 4.5 stars, because I'm still thinking about that book, and I'm still thinking about the ending. The only reason it didn't get a 5 is because I felt myself kind of getting taken out of the story a lot within the first 100 pages. Like, I would be reading it, but it wouldn't, like, I would get distracted really easily, and so I was starting to question whether it was the book, or whether it was just me, like, and I feel like it was the book. It had a really slow start, but the slow burn is burning. The tension is tensioning. Like, the story is very riveting, and I love where it ended, and I honestly need to have book 2 in my hand so I can keep going with it. But yeah, I had a fabulous time with this fantasy romance. It's blowing up all over TikTok and Instagram and Bookstagram and BookTube and everything. So, like, you should go read it if you haven't, because I highly recommend this one. Then we have King of Greed by Anna Huang, and I'm going to put this in Smelly Cat, even though I gave this a 4, because I'm just not a Marriage on the Rocks type girly. Like, I'm not second chance, like, marriage romancy girly. I like second chance romance books, but I just don't like the whole save a marriage, like, Marriage on the Rocks book. Like, I just don't really care for it. Like, I don't know. I mean, it was fine. It was still really cute, and I like their love story too, but it just didn't do it for me like the first 2 books did. But I'm really, really enjoying this Kings of Sin series, and I'm very glad that I am caught up for book 4 coming out soon. Then we have Mislaid in Parts Half Known, and I'm going to put this in Smelly Cat as well, because I gave it a 3.5, and I know that you, like, Lost in the Moment and Found really set this book up, but I feel like it didn't go all the places I wanted it to go, and I feel like it's kind of like a filler book for, like, other books in the future, if we're being honest, and I feel like it has a dinosaur on the cover, and we hardly had dinosaurs in the book, which I feel is honestly really misleading, and I just don't understand why it did that, but you know what, that's neither here nor there. I did also fall asleep a little bit while I was reading it. Because I had been reading it for like hours and hours and hours and hours at this point. Then we have A Fading to Blood, and that is also going to go in He's Her Lobster because I loved this book. I will say it started off really strong, and then it was slow in the middle, and then it was really strong again, and it was just so fabulous. I loved everything about this book, the Norse mythology, Bjorn and the main character, the tension. It was palpable. It was in the air, friends. And I'm so happy that I have a special edition that you probably saw that I held up from Probably Smut Club, which I need to read again because I need to annotate that one. But this one is going to be probably in the favorites of the year, along with One Dark Window. And then we have Lore of the Wilds. And I'm going to put that in Smelly Cat because that book had potential, y'all. That book had potential. And I gave it a 3.5, but honestly it should be a 3 or a 2.5 now that I think about it more. It started out so strong. And then it just went downhill. And there's a love triangle that should not have happened. It happened at like 80% in the book. When you're introducing new characters at 80% of the book, you're introducing new love characters at 80%. No. I feel like she was trying to do so much with this book and everything just fell flat. And it's unfortunate because the first book of the month for Romantasy for Fairy Loot is this book. And so I probably will be putting it on Pango pretty soon after because I don't need 2 copies of this book. I really don't. But yeah, will I continue with the series? I don't know. I don't know if I was intrigued enough to continue. Probably not. But you know, it is how it is. And so this is my tier ranking. You should take a picture of this and definitely pay attention to the books in He's Her Lobster and What's Not to Like. You could even pay attention to the Smelly Cat ones because technically I did like those books. They just weren't as high up as the others, but I would ignore like the bottom 3. Like they were just fine. But in all regards, the Wayward Children series is fabulous. So really the only one you should avoid is Never. And I really do mean that from the bottom of my heart because that book is hot trash. Hot trash. All right, let's go to closing out Rainy for this wrap-up. And that is my March wrap-up / tier ranking, friends. I hope you had fun with this. I had a fabulous time. Like, I just had a great reading month, like I said. So if you made it to the end of this, let's put a blood drop emoji for A Fate Inked in Blood, because I don't know, that's the last book I thought of, so I just thought of a blood emoji, whatever, or a sword, or a Viking thing, whatever you want to put, okay? And let me know what your best and worst book of March was, because I definitely want to know, so that I can maybe read both, who knows, depends if we have different tastes or not. But yeah, with that, I'll see you guys in a video super soon. Bye!